Rimward From Here, Episode 9. The OSS in our setting is something of a dichotomy. On Terra itself, they are the evil hand behind many of the stories we are currently telling. However, listen to this from a player's handout in the Beyond the Open Door adventure. The OSS grew out of the chaos of the War for Independence. Its founding in 2758 actually predates the independence of the Orion Confederation, making it the oldest governmental agency in the Confederation. The colonies that would later form the Orion Confederation suffered greatly at the hands of the UN peacekeepers. The disjointed coordination between the various colonies made it easy for the UN to put out the brush fires that pretty much were the War for Independence. Those pushing for independence in Orion space saw that problem and knew that without the resources or unity to form a cohesive fighting force, they needed to approach the problem from a different direction. So instead they opted for creating a top-notch intelligence agency with superior intelligence. They would be able to move around the small military forces at their disposal and to decide which colonies should agitate and which should stand down because UN forces were on the way. In this way they could make the rebellion more effective. So at least for a greater portion of the Orion Confederation, the OSS are viewed as the good guys. As much as any organization, they led the nascent stellar nation into existence. For that, they were rightly revered by the populace. But the Orions being the Orions, they had and have a healthy fear of government. Here's another excerpt from the player's handout in Beyond the Open Door. The Orions are a fiercely independent lot and have an abiding mistrust of governments. Thus, they have always had a love-hate relationship with the OSS. Nowhere is that more true than on Terra Sol, with the love-hate tending more to hate. Under the leadership of Director Vernon Adams, the OSS on Terra Sol have been known for heavy-handed tactics and secrecy, far beyond what could be expected from even one of humanity's premier spy agencies. In my mind, when I created this duality, it was to make the point that nothing is all good or bad. A simple concept, but one I think often gets lost in storytelling. It's much easier to paint with a broad brush. The OSS is evil or it's good. It helps or hurts. They are the good guys or the big baddies. Don't expect such simplistic lines of demarcation from the Twilight Sector story. Now, in the adventures of the Rosalind Franklin, the OSS via Director Adams has taken on the role of villain in our story. There is more than adequate evidence for this. View Sybil's origination comic on our Patreon page. For Sybil, this has led to a literal lifetime spent seeking revenge against the OSS, and specifically Director Adams. The fallout from her revenge is the thing that drives our story in our visual novel. So while developing a healthy mistrust and perhaps even a hatred of the OSS in our story, remember that there can be multiple facets to anything when you're dealing with human society. Until next time.